Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and today we have a fun one. We're going to do a banner prediction for version 1.4 Jingliu's banner. And this amazing graphic here, just a quick shout out, it's from Reddit. I took it from Mr. Minimum Story or Mr. or Miss. Thank you so much for this amazing graphic. I think it's super useful as well. We're going to use it to do our analysis and guesses for what's going to come out in version 1.4 first half for Jingliu. Now this is my first time doing banner predictions. I also want to see my track record next patch, whether what we say is exactly coming out, so you can kind of see the accuracy of like these total wild guesses. Now I haven't looked at any of like the leaked banners and whatnot. I don't think they even exist this early. So this is purely based on analytical like guessing for the future banners as well. I'll share with you my thought process and feel free to let me know if anything I missed out that I didn't consider. This is my first time doing this kind of banner prediction as well. If you guys appreciate this for Jingliu's banner, we'll definitely be doing a follow-on for Topaz banner, especially if we see how accurate it is as well. And I'll be following up with like 1.5 and beyond as and when the time arises. Now, first things first, looking at the trend, I think one of the biggest things that I caught on was whenever a character appears on, for example, a certain banner, the next patch will definitely not have the banner. So like, for example, if these three characters appear on Jingyuan's banner, they won't be appearing on Silverwolf's banner. And it's the same for like every single character. So I think the fastest character was just like 1 or 2 gaps. Let me just see whether I remember I saw one is very close. I think it's Yukong. So this was like the closest, which means that usually they tend to have a 2 gap patch. So not even like, for example, here and then the next one here. Usually it's like at least a 2 banner gap before they come back into the game again. So what this tells me is like a character like Nickss likely won't appear on either both of their banners. She's also a new character, but there is a chance for characters like Luca, new characters like Luca for example, to appear in one of these banners because there's a gap of 2 already and it fulfills that criteria. So why does this matter? I think one other trend that I noticed is whenever the character is like, for example, Blade, a destruction character who saps HP, it seems that they gave him like Natasha to help him sustain a little bit. So the banner characters are a bit thought out to help the current limited 5-star character. For example, we see here Imbibitor Lune doesn't really require sustain because he doesn't have HP sapping mechanics. In that sense, they gave him a bit more options with like Mark 7 for a bit more sustain in terms of shielding rather than healing, whereas Blade is like Natasha. What this means is my guess is Jingliu probably is some sort of HP sapping character because she's like the Mara Struck kind of lore, which makes sense because Blade is also like a similar kind of style, Mara Struck kind of sapping lifestyle. So likely my guess will be Natasha will be the favorite choice here for a sustained character. The other choice of course will be Nickss, but as we know she doesn't meet the first section because she's just directly in the patch before. So likely I think the highest likelihood of occurring will be Natasha. And I'm going to go ahead and like remove every single one of these black boxes here for Jingliu. What all these are is basically just the summation of the first criteria that we saw. If they appear in like the patch before, likely they won't appear again. So I'm going to go and like, if it's one patch before also, I'll just take them out. So I will just remove Yukong and Esta here. So Mark 7 also I'm going to be taking out because it hasn't happened before. So if it happens, it's probably a very new thing. And it is breaking a trend that we wouldn't even be able to read from the past trends as well. So the reason why I'm also only doing this now in version 1.4 is because without more history, it's very difficult to do this kind of like trend analysis. So that is for my first guess. I think that Natasha, very high chance of appearing on Jingliu's banner. They can have periods of time where they miss out. For example, if you see here, there's a 4 gap. Some of them even go on for 6. And so on and so forth. So there's no like maximum time that it takes for characters to come back, but the general trend is, I think so far we see is like 6 is the maximum before the characters come back, and that's why my next pick will actually be a character like Tingyun. I think Tingyun likely will come back in version 1.4 first half, which is tremendous value, especially if like a DPS character with Tingyun as well as Natasha. So you got sustain, more sustain here and a bit of damage buffing. My second pick likely will be Tingyun just for the sake because there's like this 1 to 6 is already a bit long, so I likely do see a return for Tingyun. In my opinion, I think Susang and Ireland are a bit tricky to rate because they were just recently in Blade's banner. I don't think that Ireland likely will appear here. That's just my personal guess. I don't think he will likely appear here in version 1.4 first half. If he does, it's either him or Susang, but my guess is more Susang than him at the moment, so I'll leave him out of the discussion. In fact, characters like Dan Heng also seem to have higher priority because they haven't appeared for a bit longer period of time too. Other than that, I think Serval likely won't appear. If Topaz here is a fire hunt character with a bit of a single target damage. It makes more sense for Serval to might appear in the next one rather than a destruction character's banner. So I'm going to just take out Serval as well. Based on my thought, I don't think she's going to appear here, which really leaves like the rest of these characters here. These two are more like DOT characters, and some people are guessing Guinevere is going to be a DOT character, which means that these two might have a higher chance of appearing in the second set. So I'm going to also just take out these two based on probability of it occurring. Just like total wild guessing, like total predictions, just really speculation as well. So that is my thought. Now all the characters that we are really left with Susang, together with Tingyun, as well as Danheng and Qingque. Of course, Natasha I think I'll lock in Tingyun. So it's really 3 DPSs that we have left, and maybe Ireland also, but I don't think they'll put 2 HP sapping characters in the same banner like they did with Blade. The chances are not high doing it. I didn't know why they did it here, but maybe they might, who knows, right? The last banner, this one is a bit tricky. I really don't know whether Qingque is going to appear, or Susang, or Danheng. I'll build a case for each of them. Danheng hasn't appeared in a while, like 5 patches, and she's not a hunt character, so likely he won't be appearing here. Which means that if this was 6 banners, he will have to appear here. If not, it will be like the longest character that hasn't been seen already. So that's like the one reason why I'm keeping him here, even though I think the chances is quite small. 2 hunt characters, very unlikely. To break the trend of 6 non-appearance for 6 is also quite rare. So that's why I'm leaving him here. Qingque, on the other hand, erudition character, does use skill points. My guess is if she saps HP, she likely doesn't care too much about skill points, but a bit of too much DPS if you have Qingque here already. So I guess I think I'm quite comfortable taking Qingque off. I think maybe she will make a showing in either 1.5 or maybe the second half of version 1.4. Which really leaves me to these last 4 characters on the banner, which is Natasha, Tingyun, Susang, as well as Danheng. Why am I keeping Susang here more rather than not? Susang is quite independent, she's very flexible, and 3 banners of no Susang means 4 and 5 will be here. It means that the next time we see her is in version 1.5. Given that, of course, we recently had a hunt character, maybe they may not release her here and instead push her to the next one, like what we see with Zidstar here. My guess, I guess, now just thinking about it, it makes sense that I think to follow the trend, I do see a banner of Danheng, Tingyun, as well as Natasha. Natasha is paired usually with characters that need the healing. Zila here, it seems like when we were in 1.0, she was a very important character for more sustain. Blade here saps his life, that's why Natasha was here as well. If, for example, she is also a sapping life character, I think Natasha will likely fit quite well to help sustain her teams, and Hoyoverse will likely put her on the banner. Also because Lynx, the other option here, is not able to be placed here because so far we haven't had a chance where there were like back-to-back appearances of banner characters. Usually there needs to be at least a spacing of 2. That's why a lot of these other characters were also taken away from this slot as well. So that's the first one for Natasha. Tingyun, there has never been a character of more than 6 patches so far. Like Hook here showed that after 6 patches you will get the character, and Tingyun is currently the next in line. She might be the first to like break out of this cycle. Maybe there are like 7 patches that don't have a particular character. She is also a very strong character, so that could probably be the case. But from what we see so far, I do think there is a high chance for her to come into the patch, especially if they hope her banner to do well. And this is my banner prediction, at least for version 1.4, part 1 for Jingliu's banner. And let me know what you guys think. Do you think any other characters that I missed out or perhaps also have a very high chance of coming out? Let me know what you think about my banner predictions, and I hope I'm right. I'll definitely see back in version 1.5 once official information is out whether we got that right too. And if you're interested in the second half of version 1.4, doing some predictions as well, do let me know in the comments. I'll definitely be happy to explore that if you find this mini game quite fun as well, to guess what's in the second half for Topaz banner. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.